September 10th, 1972. Sandown Raceway. What started as a warm-up for Bathurst ended up rewriting Australian motorsport history. Alan Moffat's mysterious new Falcon was turning heads and raising eyebrows. But behind the noise, lap times, and pit lane whispers, this single race would trigger a media firestorm that shut down an entire era. Here's what really happened. Fact 1. The Sandown 250 was the final hit out before Bathurst. Every year, the Sandown 250 was a key stop in the lead-up to Bathurst. It was a test of speed, reliability, and race day readiness. Teams used it to iron out bugs, trial setups, and figure out who had the real pace. But 1972 felt different. The power war between Holden, Ford, and Chrysler was peaking, and no one was holding back. Fact 2. Alan Moffat showed up with a secret weapon. All eyes were on Alan Moffat, who arrived at Sandown driving a mysterious red XA Falcon. The car wasn't listed as a regular GT, it was lower, meaner, and clearly quicker than anything else on track. Unofficially, it was Ford's prototype for the GTHO Phase 4, a car no one outside the team was supposed to see until Bathurst. But at Sandown, the cat was out of the bag. Fact 3. The media noticed something was off. As soon as the XA Falcon rolled into the pits, journalists started to murmur. Something didn't add up. The body looked like a regular XA GT, but under the skin, it was anything but. Seasoned motorsport reporters began noticing odd details. An unusually aggressive camshaft idle, different wheels, a lowered stance, and brake ducts where they shouldn't be. And Moffat? He was lapping the track like he was in a different league. Because, truthfully, he was. Some pit lane insiders whispered what they suspected. This wasn't a regular GTHO. This was the fabled Phase 4. The car that was supposed to replace the legendary XY, but had never officially been greenlit for racing. Cameras clicked, notes were scribbled, and one journalist, Evan Green from the Sun Herald, decided to blow it all wide open. That article, published the following day, would send shockwaves through the sport and trigger the political firestorm that followed. Fact 4. The race kicked off with Ford dominating early. When the green flag dropped, Moffat's red XA thundered into the lead and immediately began building a gap. The car looked planted and aggressive, like it was doing half the work for him. Behind him, Bob Jane and Peter Brock were doing their best to keep up in their Monaros, but Moffat had the edge in top speed and braking. Fact 5. Mechanical issues almost ruined Ford's day. Around mid-race, Moffat's Falcon began experiencing brake fade, one of the few weak points in the prototype. While still quick, it forced him to back off his aggressive pace. Meanwhile, Bob Jane's Camaro and Peter Brock's Tirana surged forward, making it a three-way showdown between Aussie muscle, American grunt, and pure determination. Fact 6. Peter Brock drove a gutsy race. Even though he was down on power compared to the Falcon and Camaro, Brock's driving was sensational. He knew Sandown inside out and used every inch of the circuit to stay in the fight. He pushed the Tirana beyond its limits and kept pressure on the leaders all race long. It was a preview of what he'd soon become, King of the Mountain. Fact 7. The final result was a Holden victory. In the end, Bob Jane took the win, driving a perfectly measured race in his Camaro. Brock finished second, while Moffat, despite his early dominance, faded to third. Ford didn't get the result it wanted on paper. But in terms of performance and speed, the Phase 4 had made a terrifying statement. Fact 8. That one race sparked a national controversy. While the teams packed up and fans went home, something much bigger was unfolding in the media. That same weekend, the Sun Herald ran the headline, 160 miles per hour, supercars soon. The article named Ford's XA Phase 4, Holden's V8 Tirana, and Chrysler's upcoming Charger as dangerous road weapons soon to be in the hands of young drivers. Fact 9. The supercar scare was born. Politicians panicked. Road safety experts started doing interviews. Even insurance companies chimed in, saying they wouldn't cover these cars. the public began to question why 160-mile-per-hour race cars were being built for the street. Sandown, intended to be a prep race, was now the smoking gun in a full-blown moral panic. Fact 10. Holden and Chrysler pulled out immediately. Holden was about to drop a 308 V8 into the Tirana XU1. Chrysler was prepping the Charger E55, but both backed out within days of the media backlash. They didn't want the headlines, they didn't want the politics, they just wanted out. Fact 11. Ford cancelled the Phase 4 within a week. Ford tried to hold firm. They believed the Phase 4 could win Bathurst. But with the media pressure mounting and the government whispering about new laws, they too gave in. Only 4 Phase 4s were built. None were sold to the public. Sandown became its first and last true appearance. Fact 12. The race changed homologation forever. After Sandown 72, everything changed. The rules around what manufacturers could build, what needed to be road legal, and how cars qualified for racing got tighter. The wild days of building 300-plus horsepower beasts for Sunday sales were over. Sandown didn't just crown a race winner, it ended an era. Fact 13. Fans were robbed of a true Bathurst battle. The Phase 4 Tirana and the Charger E55 showdown at Mount Panorama never happened. We never got to see what would have been the most exciting Bathurst grid of all time. All because of one race, one car, and one newspaper headline. Fact 14. Sandown. 1972 is now legendary. Ask most fans who won the 1972 Sandown 250, and they'll probably shrug. It was Bob Jane in a Camaro, but that's not what people remember. What they remember is Moffat's Phase 4 Falcon. The wild red XA that looked like it belonged on a racetrack, not a showroom floor. It was the car that triggered a media firestorm before the race even started. Sandown 72 became the unofficial funeral for the street-legal supercar war. It showed just how far Ford, Holden, and Chrysler were willing to go to win Bathurst, even if it meant building barely road-legal weapons. That race didn't just kill the Phase 4. It ended the era of muscle cars bred purely for racing. And in doing so, it became one of the most important moments in Aussie motorsport history. Fact 15. One race, one fallout, one lost generation of muscle. What happened at Sandown wasn't a crash or a scandal. It was a turning point. A test session turned media circus. A prototype turned political target. And a race that changed the rules forever. For muscle car lovers, it marked the end of the most unhinged, exciting, and dangerous era we ever had. Should the XA Phase 4 have been allowed to race at Bathurst? Did the media overreact? Or was it the right move for public safety? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you love Aussie muscle car history, hit that like button, subscribe to Revved Up Muscle, and stick around for more stories they tried to bury.